Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. This is a perfect week to be doing what we're doing because our gathering this morning is fundamentally about gratitude. I have the privilege of calling Natasha my friend, but I'd be remembering her in the past tense were it not for some people who are here who will help save her life. So this is a chance fundamentally in Thanksgiving week to say thank you, to acknowledge, even in a broader sense, the tremendous work of the fire department, the emergency, first responders, everyone who makes this city a wonderful place to live. Before we do that, I want to say just a couple of other quick words because I'm thinking of someone else today, in addition to Natasha and the first responders. I'm thinking of a fellow by the name of Jimmy Lee. Jimmy Lee is honored a block south of here in the Jimmy Lee Recreational Center. But many people don't know that Jimmy Lee grew up in this parish, in this congregation. He taught boxing here in the 1930s and the 1940s. And he was ushering one Sunday morning when, in spite of being in good shape, he suffered a heart attack and died. Now, Jimmy Lee, were he alive today, wouldn't be alive today because he'd have been gone by now. His daughter comes to daily mass. I see her regularly, and Jimmy would be knocking on the door of 100. But he certainly would have been with this community, serving young people and making a difference here, had we had an automated external defibrillator available to save his life. That's the reality of every community around, is that we have lost people whom we know could have continued to serve and continued to have been with us for young people and for the community had the right technology been in place. So I'm so grateful. I will add my own voice. When I remember Jimmy Lee and when I think of my friend Natasha and her family, I'm grateful for those who've made this AED available to us. We will treasure it. I'm so grateful to the Sudden Cardiac Death Society, the association that pulled together this work for us, and through the provider has seen to it that we are able to prevent losses and serve the community better. I'm going to ask Natasha to come and say a few words of gratitude to you, along with Steve and with the chief. So come on up, all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I just wanted to thank everybody for being here this morning. Sudden cardiac arrest kills more than 300,000 people in the country every year. It's the leading cause of death in the United States. And in addition to breast cancer, lung cancer, HIV, and AIDS, it's even more deadly than those three things combined. It means that the heart suddenly stops beating. And in about 90% of the victims, it also means that their life ends. Only about 10% of the patients survive. In St. Paul, our survival rate's almost twice that, 20%, but sadly, too many times, it's still pretty dismally low. I think the three things that make St. Paul a great place to survive a heart attack or cardiac arrest is the fact that we have great first responders, we have super paramedics, and the fact that we got bystanders, oftentimes not armed with an AED, but in some cases armed with that. And so I appreciate the opportunity to expand that AED fleet out there and get the equipment in the hands of the bystanders. It's a very special occasion too when we can have a cardiac survivor meet with a crew that saved their life. I think that's a great opportunity for us to mix. And if you haven't already met Natasha, you're going to meet her in a minute. Tell her experience and offer a unique gift for this community. Sudden cardiac arrest is caused by an electrical malfunction in the heart. The remedy is the application of an external shock to kind of jumpstart the heart back into its normal rhythm. That external shock is supplied by an automatic external defibrillator, an AED. And Natasha's gift today will increase the number of AEDs out here in the community. And so I'd like to introduce my friend, Natasha Fleischman.
My story starts when I was 33. I was 33 when I died. That morning I had gotten up. I took my boys, who were 3 and 6 at the time, they're here today, missing school. Very sad about that, I'm sure. But I dropped them off at their babysitter, and I ran into the St. Paul School District main office for a meeting with my coworkers. And I hadn't been there very long when my heart stopped. I fell over. Nobody knew if I had choked on carrots or if it were something more. One of my coworkers ran up 4 floors to find somebody who knew CPR and ran back down 4 floors. And he, our Director of Safety and Security for the St. Paul Public Schools, performed CPR on me until the St. Paul Fire Department got there. St. Paul Fire had to defibrillate me 5 times to get my heart restarted. But they were there, they did it, and it worked. In the meantime, my husband had received the call and said that I was going to be taken to Regions Hospital. He got to Regions ahead of me, and they told him, sorry, but we're closed to all but level 1 traumas. She must be somewhere else. And they started calling the other emergency facilities in the area. While that was happening, I was wheeled in past him. He had only seen me an hour earlier when I was bouncing out the door like I normally do, saying, see you later, dear. And now I was being wheeled in past him, looking dead. They didn't know what was going on. They took me down to the cath lab, found out my arteries were clear. They gave me an echocardiogram, and heart health is, or heart function is measured in terms of ejection fraction. My heart was enlarged, and with every pump of my heart, it was only pumping out 10% of the blood. My ejection fraction was 10%, which qualified me to be put on the heart transplant list. Thankfully, I never needed a transplant. I did get a trusty implanted defibrillator and just had it replaced again last month. I'm on defibrillator number 3, so I'm wearing them out faster than they can keep up with me. But as a result, I've become very active, particularly in women's heart health and in the cardiac arrest associations. For Women Heart, which is the National Coalition of Women with Heart Disease, I work hard to help other women understand that they're at risk. I was 33, I was healthy, I ate well, I exercised, I did everything I was supposed to. And in fact, my friends said after that, well, gee, Natasha, if this is going to happen to you, I'm not even going to try. And 8 years ago when this happened, people didn't realize that heart disease is the #1 killer of women. But through this horrible event that happened to me, that I happened to survive, so I don't really think it's that horrible, I'm able to get the word out. And we also know that having AEDs in as many places as possible is important. St. Paul Public Schools didn't have one then, and as far as I know, they still do not. But thankfully, we had St. Paul Fire there who were able to respond quickly enough, though no matter how many times I count it out, and I count the running up to 4th floor and running back down and St. Paul Fire getting there, I can't imagine why I'm here today and completely mentally intact. So I'm really excited when I got the email from the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Association saying that Defib Tech had donated a defibrillator. I thought immediately of St. Peter Claver. We have a very active parish here. We have 1,000 people attending Mass every weekend. We have a school right next door that's going to be within easy access of the AED. 2 months out of the year, we sponsor an overnight homeless shelter, overflow homeless shelter for the community when there isn't enough space in the regular rooms. And so I just think a church as active and as vibrant as this is, and even though we've moved out into the Stillwater area, we still drive back here on Sundays to attend Mass, because this is the church that prayed for me while I was in the hospital. This is the church that prayed for me when they were saying she's not going to survive. This is the church that prayed for me when they said, oh, she's going to survive, but she's probably going to need full-time nursing care because she's not going to be able to function as a normal adult. And so I'm also very excited. My fire crew is here, and my husband's got the camera, so you're going to have to pose with me. But to make sure I get all of you guys in a picture. But right now, I would like to present this AED from the Maker Defib Tech that's been donated to church to Father Kevin.
Thanks. Congratulations. Thank you, dear. That's great. Great picture.
All right, my family's here, so I get to introduce them. Family, all four of you. You have no choice. All four of you. That's you too, Mom. Come here. My husband, Bob, who watched me come in. My boys, Simon, who was 3 at the time, now 11 years old and in 6th grade. Peter, who was 6 at the time and a kindergartner, is now a very tall 14-year-old 9th grader. And my mom, who is so happy she was at the hospital.
From the fire department family, we have paramedic fire captain Ken Schramm, retired paramedic FEO Tony Terry, firefighter Dave Rylicki, and firefighter Sean McClay. These men and women were from Station 10 on the B shift, Medic 10. They run from the oldest fire station in active service in Minnesota. Okay? Get you guys in a little tighter.